The first time I actually started contemporary dance was in high school, but I don't really think it wasn't very well taught because our dance teacher was just a PE teacher, and so she wasn't fully trained in dance, and she was kind of a cover that became permanent. But she did teach us all about contractions. I remember doing a lot of contractions in high school, but she never really told us who it was about. And then after I finished high school, I went into college for 3 years at Oldham College, and they did contemporary jazz and ballet. And in contemporary, we did a lot about Pina Bausch, Martha Graham. It's in my head, but I can't remember what it's called. No.
I was like, it's like Graham.
No, I can't remember. It's just bewildered me at the moment. But we did all about release and swing and Cunningham. There we go. Contractions, Martha Graham's techniques and everything like that. And then it's kind of the same in uni, but more intense.
My contemporary dance background, when I very first started it was very little practitioner work. It was more like, here's some contemporary exercises, we're going to just do them. And then it was like choreography based about performance. And then that was basically all we did. This was in college.
In college?
Yeah, that was the very first time that I did sort of contemporary dance. And it was very, very limited practitioner work. We didn't even do the basics, but we did research on practitioners, and that was about it. And then when coming to uni, we done physical practitioner work, their actual teachings, like Graham. We've done Isadora Duncan. We've done a lot of physical theatre and dance theatre, so DVA theatre and Pina Bausch inspired stuff, which is something that was completely new to me, So I've never really done work inspired by practitioners. It was really just what the teacher had said. Let's all get together, let's make a dance for a dance show, and that's about it. That's what we used to do. So yeah, it's very different to an actual real life working.
Abstract. Also, I feel like it was a way dancers broke free of the usual ballet sort of strictness, and they wanted to bring something new to dances. So, I know, seeing that's dance, but this also can be dance, and this can be dance.
Contemporary dance is expressive. It's very much about the individual and how I perceive contemporary dance is, if you know what I mean. Because contemporary dance can be almost anything,
Yeah.
And how I might perceive what is contemporary dance is, say, for example, what difference or what Steph might think contemporary dance is. So I think it's all about how the individual sees it instead of this is what it is, I think it's very dependent on the person doing it.
Yeah, I've done contemporary dance where I've held a balloon on top of my head, pretending to be a paintbrush to be someone that stood there that flicks around for every 10 seconds, and it's it can be completely. And it also depends on.
You've been a bus driver too.
I am. Okay. But it depends on the person. I've got a lot of friends that come and watch my shows, and they've been very much I have no idea what's going on. And I think it can be one of them things where it's like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. When you get older, your imagination, you get told this is how we think when you're older, but when you're a child, your brain can go mental. So we could look at a stick and my son will go over to it and see it as a gun. Yeah. It's the same as with dance. You'll see someone on stage just turning the head but someone else will see that like, oh, they're defying what, they're saying no to someone that they don't want to do this, and the brain can go absolutely mental. So it's like, it's kind of like trying to bring people's imaginations back.
Gosh, remember that show in first year when there was that alumni student that came in and did that dance after our one?
Oh yeah.
And it was like 6 minutes long, and she was kind of not really doing much. Like, she was just kind of like on the stage with this really loud music playing, and it was just, you know, she was just doing stuff like this, and then like a slight movement, and it was like, you know, some people were like, gosh, what was that? And then other people were like, that was amazing, you know? So it's like, things like that, it's individual, because to her, that's her performance, this is her contemporary dance, and you either like it or you lump it. And you know, some people didn't, some people did.
It depends on what you want to tell with your piece.
Yeah.
Because if you want someone to understand it and have a straight line of this is how it starts, this is the middle, this is the end, then it's, even though you've got so much on there, you still could have the programme there to go, oh well, this is it. So if you don't understand, well, this will help you understand. And then another one, you could just have a title and go, this is it. And then you're on the stage and you're like, well, I have no idea, but I love it.
I give a program with, for example, dancers,
Yeah.
you know, but not necessarily like,
The actual story.
yeah, like nothing about the piece, you know.
It's like thinking about the whole, instead of just thinking about the dance, it's thinking about everything, like the audience, the piece, the programme, how the lighting's going to affect the mood, how everything. So it's like, that is another way of thinking about what contemporary is. It's not just about the dancing, it's about the whole experience of it.
I think that with James Wilton's work, like they have bare minimum stuff in their program. They'll just be like the dancers, loosely based off in one of their pieces, Leviathan. It's like, I'm sure, if I remember correctly, their program was like the dance was loosely based off the novel Leviathan by, you know, a certain person, and that was all you got. You know, so if you've never read the novel before, you know, it's open up to your own interpretation of what's going on. But if you've read the novel, you know, I'm pretty sure you could piece together what exactly is going on. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
No. We had one workshop.
Oh yeah, was that the one with the napkin?
Yeah.
I don't think I actually, I was able to.
But I don't know if that was like traditional Chinese dance or anything like that.
I've seen little bits, things like that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Do you know, sometimes it'll come up, I'll be listening to a certain song and it'll be a recommendation and I'll go, oh, that's nice.
Well, there was like some MA students last year who also were from China and have the experience of Chinese dance as well, like seeing them dance, you know, stuff like that, or but never actually doing it myself. Like I've seen bits and bobs, but I've never actually done it myself until
Never really
these classes.
knew the extent of quite how hard it is.
Because when you've done it for so long, you make it look easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like ballet dance, isn't it?
I feel like it's
Very accessible, is it?
no
They don't like, for instance,
Eastern culture dance, which doesn't really
it's like the
influence Western culture a lot, you know. Like I know they have Western culture can sometimes influence Eastern dance, but it doesn't really work that way for some reason. I don't know why, you know.
or it might, we just don't actually know of it.
No, well maybe, but I can't think of a time when.
But it's like,
I don't even see any classes around. Like
no,
when I'm looking
I've
for like
seen-
classes to do and stuff like that, no Eastern influence in sort of dance styles anywhere. You know, you get contemporary ballet, gymnastics, you know, all
belly
that stuff.
dances and belly dance. I've seen a lot of martial arts, like
Zumba as well.
what is it called? Cat. The martial arts one, the
Capoeira.
I've seen that one.
Capoeira, yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But the thing is as well, I think
But even
as
that's
well,
very rare, you know?
yeah, it is. You don't see much of it.
Difficult.
Mental
You know, it's difficult and it requires, I believe,
power.
yeah, and a lot of physical strength as well. Like, it really does require strength and concentration, and it's hard. But that being said, it's really fun, and I feel like it can really easily influence how I move normally, if you know what I mean, because it is very, very similar to contemporary dance, you know, and they can influence each other very easily, I think, because they can go hand in hand.
Mm.
And I think that easily does influence contemporary dance, like how I would move in contemporary dance now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I felt at the first class that I came to and we were doing, it was like, what do you call it? It's like the martial arts dances. And I just remember coming out with my legs were shaking. I was like, this is actually really intense.
Yeah, I was when we were doing those like steps forward, but you know, it's like really slow and
Yeah, and it was like, it's completely different to what I'm used to. So like a lot of the movement I'm used to, it's very fast, and it's like you move one big movement into another big movement into another big movement. And these are very slow, controlled, and like very precise sort of thing, like with your arm movements and everything like that. And it was good because I like a challenge. So like that's why when I'm doing my aerial, I like the pretty poses that come with it after you've worked really hard to get it. So it's like this is the same. Once you get into that position, every part of it is posed in a position that if you took a picture there, it'd look really, really good because your whole presence is there. So that's why I was like, I like this. But yeah, that's also the first impression of it.
I liked learning the choreography as well. Like the choreography that you were, not last week, the week before, the choreography was doing, it was really nice, and it wasn't like new, you know, we'd never done choreography like that before. It was really nice, it was difficult, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was nice.
I can imagine America probably has more because, like, who was it that said it? Like, he said in Britain, the actual, what's the word? The technical, the technique in British dancers is a lot worse than like in America or anywhere else in the world. We're very much like, we don't really base ourselves on technique, we base ourselves on, well, from what I've seen, employability.
Employability.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I know that someone was, I can't remember who was talking about it, but they were saying like in other countries they are very much performance based and they train their dancers to become elite performers, but in Britain we're, which in a way is good because we can get a job out at the end of it, employability is good, but then if you do want to go into the performance route you probably have to go
And this was
elsewhere.
last year.
Yeah, do you remember talking
It was,
about
I
it?
think it was shortly after audiography, if I remember correctly. It might have been Debbie.
Yeah,
Someone. I remember them saying it. Yeah.
because I do remember like doing the fitness with bodyography and I think we all died, didn't we? It was like, come on, and we were like,
Oh god, it was so.
it was so
Like,
What
it was a bodyography dance company from America came over here last year to restage some of their works with us.
Yeah.
So we spent like an intensive
it was
4 days of 3 days, 2 days learning the choreography and then your performance on the last day. It was intense. But we had to audition for that.
yeah, you auditioned
So
for
we
it.
auditioned, they picked who they wanted in, they picked understudies. You know, if you didn't get in, unfortunately you aren't working with them. and their fitness thing, like what they do daily. God, it was the most intense thing I've ever done in my life. It was like an hour and a half, and it
And
was
it was
just
like
non-stop.
We got to the sale parts and I was like, yeah, I've got good abs. I'd be able to
lasted
do
long.
that. Oh my god! I was like, afterwards, I remember walking out going, God.
It was like, it wasn't true where you do a bit of an ab workout, the next day you're sore, the day after you're fine. No, this was like a week long of pain in your abs. It was when we were doing the leg and bum stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, I've never I had a numb bum for so long. Like I couldn't sit down. It was awful. But like they're all really elite, fit, amazing dancers. They're so talented.
Based on being performers. So.
And gosh, it was intense.
It was fantastic, and I love and
If there was a chance, would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They were supposed to come down this year, but
Yeah.
I believe they come down like every year or every 2 years because they have a close relationship with Lisa, the company owner, and it was obviously because of COVID they couldn't come over this year, and I don't think they will next year, but they probably will the year after.
Yeah.
Because
they
they're
love
in the moment, aren't they?
Yes, in Brazil.
But yeah, it's like
I keep up to date. I keep
keep up to date.
I keep so up to date with Maria's life. She is.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
She's great.
She
She's
does
the company founder and the
she's in Broadway.
lead choreographer.
She does
Yeah.
like
She's from America, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's one of like 3 people who was allowed to perform Martha Graham's Lamentations. Like she was given permission by Martha Graham Company to perform her Lamentations. So she's incredible. But
Like I can't like any other country that I've seen doing dance. Like for instance, when I think of Chinese dance and anything to do with like Chinese dance, gymnastics, anything, I think of very flexible, very strong people. Because in my head, when I see anything to do with the training, it's very intense, unbelievably intense. So in my head, I'm like, oh no, I probably wouldn't ever get to that sort of level.
believe it or not, my gymnastics teacher was from China.
Okay.
And she was gymnastics all her life. She'd done Chinese dance and stuff like that, but never really seen her dance. She was just my gymnastics instructor, and she was very intense, but she got the job done.
Yeah. Definitely. And like whenever I've seen any videos of anyone who's like doing gymnastics or dance and they've gone through that sort of training, they're like so yeah.
That's
And
nice.
when
Yeah, but she was like an Olympic gold medalist when she was 12, so there's no comparison, While I was 12, I was winning 2nd place in gymnastic competitions.
When I was
nearby,
12, I was tripping over tree stumps. As well, like it could be made more accessible, but you have to create a market for it.
Yeah.
So if you pop up 3 or 4 Chinese dance workshops or dance classes around Manchester or Rothschild or anything like that, yeah, you could, but then it's actually getting people to go because it's been inaccessible for so long.
Yeah.
It's about marketing it. It's about knowing your audience because like if you say, oh, Chinese dance and like just leave it as that, I think a lot of people will be like, oh, could I really do that? Because like I know when I first started going back training in ballet, for instance, I was like, oh well, I haven't really done a lot of ballet in ages. I don't really think I should go. But once I went, I was like, oh, actually, no, really, I'm good at this. I like it.
And I think a lot of people are ignorant as well. Like they would see Chinese dance and they would just be like, they wouldn't have a clue what it is.
Yeah.
They might not know how similar it is to like contemporary dance because
And
even myself, I didn't realise how similar it was to contemporary dance. And
a lot of people go to dance classes for fitness as well. So people
gosh,
are
you
like,
need to be fit for Chinese dance.
yeah. So people might not know how intensive Chinese dance is and how how fit it could make you. So if you would like to advertise the Chinese dance class as a fitness sort of thing to start it off,
Or
Then that- and then-
contemporary,
yeah, and then people will go and go, actually, I really like this. Do you have any other proper classes of teaching technique? Because that's how I started back at dance, started doing Zumba. Zumba, and then I like salsa, and I was like, oh, I like.
advertise like Chinese contemporary dance fusion classes, and I think people would really, be like, oh, it's a fusion, it's new, it's,
And then when
and
they
go to
tried a bit of the fusion, and if it, like for instance, I said, oh, that's the way the hands are and stuff, you could go, oh, well, why don't you try my Chinese dance and you can learn the techniques of it and stuff.
I think, remember, what's his name who he used to do Wild Talk, he came here once to do a contemporary fusion class. But it was advertised, I think it was
Was it Joe?
Joe,
He was
yeah.
brilliant.
His choreography style is amazing. But it was, contemporary, but it was
Like
his style of contemporary, so it was like, that's why it was advertised as contemporary,
contemporary fusion of Joe.
And a lot of people were like, oh yeah, contemporary fusion, that sounds really good. I mean, essentially it was just contemporary dance, but it was how he interprets contemporary dance, so that was where the fusion comes from.
Yeah.
It was really good though.
Yeah.
I think it was the way it was advertised. A lot of people
Yeah,
were
that's the
interested
thing. If you want anything, it's all about how you market it and who you market it to. Because you could put as much posters everywhere, but if you don't put the right word in, that makes people go, ooh, that looks interesting.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anyone to come. As soon as you caught them, as soon as you hooked them, then they're there for as long as anything. Because when I started my classes, I remember for ages before I started, because I took a massive break in between college and uni. I wanted to get back in dance, but I was too scared. I didn't want to go to a contemporary class. I didn't want to go to a ballet class because I was like, I'm going to be the biggest one in the room. I don't even know if I can dance anymore. I just don't want to do it. And then someone was like, oh, why don't you try Zumba? And I was like, well, it's dance, but it's fitness. And I just stood at the back of the class. And eventually, by the time I lost all the weight, I was at the front of the class dancing away. And I was like, I want to get back into dancing again.
Yeah.
So it's.
You chose the right two people for this, because me and Steph could just ramble on.
I know.
We'll be your role there.
Yeah, I go off on tangents.